going on, guys? Welcome back to the Lollygaggers Dynasty Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Ace, joined by my lovely co-host, Zang. How are you doing today, my good sir?
Oh, I'm wonderful. I'm glad I got to join in this week. I was telling Ace early in the week it was pretty busy on my end with work, some parent teacher nights and curriculum nights and all that stuff, but able to fire it up on Thursday, and I'm glad to be here because there's obviously a lot to talk about, and I do need to take my take my medicine of the Pod Bowl in person. That wouldn't really be fair if Ace had to celebrate a Pod Bowl win all by himself. So
you weren't
I'm doing great.
That easily.
Yeah, no. How convenient! This was the week I couldn't do it. What do you know?
No, but Zang, doing the Lord's work, teaching our youth, so that is one of the most commendable jobs. So
they know all about WRC plus. I mean, these kids are
teaching the next generation of baseball and sports nerds.
Of stat heads. Yeah,
gotta love it. We had another great week of fantasy. Diving into our 6 matchups. First matchup is Flaming versus Anna. Both guys coming into this one 3-4. Obviously, this matchup has a bit of controversy surrounding it. We had the whole thing with QB limits. I just wanted to kind of take this time a little bit, just take 30 seconds or so, just to explain kind of what my mentality was and the thought process was. I wanted to do a 2 QB limits to start this season, simply because it is super flex, and obviously quick maths, 12 teams, 2 QBs starting potentially each, that's 24 QBs, throw in the bye weeks, you typically want to have 3 on your roster, and with 36 it kind of leaves an imbalance in the starts. However, I will tried to combat this by making it 2 QB limits. It is super flex, and we have seen a lot of guys put up tons of points, not QBs. And for the first couple of weeks there, we saw a lot of wins with only 1 QB rosters. So I just thought for this first year, obviously there's a lot of differences this year. We are running defenses for one, not going to be running that next year. So there will be changes made, but just for this year, I wanted to make it as simple as possible. It did kind of go a little bit more complicated than I intended, but the idea was take 2 QBs. If you wanted to take a rookie QB and use a draft pick to take a rookie QB, that was totally going to be on you. And obviously for somebody like JMC, it ended up working out great, taking Jackson Dart, and we'll talk about what he did with that and how he kind of flipped him to get some more pieces there. But that was the intention behind it. I apologize for the confusion and everything that went through. But with all that being said, let's dive right into it here. So Flaming Prius opened up the scoring with the Chargers defense on Thursday night. Anna didn't have anybody going on Thursday, so just those 12 points Flaming carried into Sunday's matchups. And Sunday is really when Hammer started to hit the nails for Flaming. Jonathan Taylor, man, he's my MVP right now. He's just absolutely...
Hey. I was going to say the greatest second-place MVP season of all time. So, Jonathan...
Yeah, I know some other people may have Drake.
Some disagreements on that one. I may think differently. But no, Jonathan Taylor. Unbelievable.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor, the start to the season he's having, just another insane performance. Yet another 3-touchdown performance from Jonathan Taylor. This is his 4th hat trick on the season. We've only played 8 games, and he already has scored 3 touchdowns in 4 of them. So that's just insane. 37.4 points from him, 12 carries for 153 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he caught both of his targets for 21 yards and another score on top of that. Chase Brown, the running back for Cincinnati, also had a pretty big day as well, both through the ground and in the air. 12 carries for 73 yards with a touchdown, and then he also caught all 3 of his targets for 32 yards and a touchdown as well. Like I mentioned, 25.5 points there. Jamar Chase throwing in, the other Bengal that Flaming has on his squad, 21.1 points himself, 12 catches on 19 targets for 91 yards. Man, I bet you if I'm not the happiest person with Joe Flacco being on the Bengals, it most certainly has to be Flaming. Shamar's scores have just absolutely skyrocketed since Flacco has joined the team.
What a turnaround that's been.
Yeah, seriously. That Bengals team actually has some life now, considering the brutal start to the season that the Ravens had. They're actually playing currently right now, Thursday night. Over on Anna's side, he battled back a little bit. Bo Nix, 24.78 himself, with that blowout win over the Cowboys. 19 for 29, 247 yards, 4 touchdowns. Did have the 1 pick, but still a very solid performance. Nonetheless, and his running back as well from the Dolphins, who's actually playing currently right now, Devon Achane, with 18 carries, 67 yards rushing, and caught 5 of his 7 targets for 24 yards and a score. Dallas Goedert also had a pretty solid day, caught only 3 targets, but he had 28 yards and 2 touchdowns for 17.8 points, so you'll absolutely take that. And a little bit of kicker love as well. Chris Boswell, man, he is just as automatic as it gets. 20 points from him, making all 4 of his field goals, along with an extra point, and 3 of those field goals coming from 50 plus. So that's just absolutely insane automatic stuff there from Boswell. And then I did want to have to bring it up because it's just truly, truly unfortunate when it happened. It was bad. Scadaboo for Flaming Prius. This was, I don't want to say a bit of a Pyrrhic victory because his season is far from over, but this was a tough one to say the least. Cam Scadaboo, as I'm sure as everybody saw it, injured that ankle. Dislocated that ankle. It completely turned the wrong way, so he unfortunately is done for the season. Flaming Prius did come away with the win here, 157.62 to 82.68. Zang, why don't you tell us about some of the fun little stats we have from this matchup?
Yeah, absolutely. So we did have a pretty significant bench blunder in here. Jordan Love with 28.3 points recorded, would have been the highest scoring quarterback on Anna's roster. He was left on the bench. He actually would have been the highest scoring quarterback in the league had he started. So he, would have of course been featured in that team of the week stat later down there, but he was on the bench. We are introducing a new stat this week called Cardio King. This is and Ace has come up with it, so Ace, correct me if I'm wrong, but it is the player who performed the furthest below their expectation. So so in this case we've got Dak Prescott, just 8.62. The theme of this episode is going to be tough week for Cowboys. Yeah, just 19 for 31 for him, 188 passing yards, 2 interceptions. He was projected, for about 18 points, so 10 below that projection. And boy, with a projection, you usually hope they go a little bit over it even for a quarterback. So yeah, tough week for Dak. And Prius was actually this week's most efficient manager. He was 99.9% correct. So, a fraction of a point away from being perfect. That all led into, of course, him, winning in the biggest blowout, 75 points separating him and Anna on this one. It's a good week for Flaming Prius. Definitely, boy, that Scadaboo injury is tough. He was looking like a late round, really just a steal there. But with the way he plays the game, obviously we talked about that a couple episodes ago. It's obviously a real shame that he hurt himself like that. Yeah. One of the cool things though about Dynasty in particular, and I just always love this, that like when Scadaboo, he goes down, that's not the end. Like Prius will get him back, if it's not this year, like next year, and it's just kind of cool to know and stuff. Always fun to remember that bit about Dynasty and all that. So
yeah, absolutely. That's the thing I love about Dynasty too, is that you can draft a player and they could ball out, and they may go down with an injury, but they will come back, and you don't lose them for the year. With redraft leagues, it's like, wow, I drafted this guy, he was supposed to be my dude for the whole year. For the guys that took Burrow in redraft leagues, I'm sure they are just hating life right now.
Even more than you are.
Yeah, even more than I am. Although, man, the turnaround has been substantial.
It's been real, yeah.
It's been insane. But, me and Rangers, man, we came from the bottom and now we're here. Sorry, did not mean to throw in a Drake lyric here, but the opportunity presented itself.
This is an exclusively Kendrick pod on this. Yeah.
We are both based out of LA, so yeah, this is definitely should be a Kendrick pod. Yeah. All things considered. I also wanted to point out that for Flaming, his the reason why it was 99.9 and not 100% was because Dylan Sampson, the backup running back for the Browns, was on his is on his taxi squad with 7.9 points. And Wan'Dale Robinson had 7.8 points on his Superflex position. So if we're really being honest here, it really wasn't 100%.
Yeah.
Prius did everything right and got his max points possible.
Absolutely.
So great matchup there. Moving on to the next one here, we do have, like I mentioned, coming from the bottom, Rangers taking on Oki. Both these guys 4-3, and what completely different paths to 4-3 these gentlemen have had. Rangers starting 0-3, winning 4 straight. Oki starting, I think he started 3-0 or 4-0 and has lost 3 straight. So just completely different trends coming into this matchup here. Rangers starting it out on Sunday with Breece Hall having his breakout game of the season. Breece Hall, with not having scored a single touchdown so far this year, went ahead and scored 3 on top of having 133 yards rushing on 18 carries and 2 receptions on 3 targets for 14 yards. He also threw for a touchdown, and not just any touchdown, the game-winning touchdown against the Joe Flacco-led Bengals. So just an insane day for Breece Hall. I think they put up a stat where the last time some running back had over 125 rush yards, multiple touchdowns, and a passing touchdown in a game was from the Hall of Famer LaDainian Tomlinson. So pretty rare and kind of quirky category or company to be in there for Breece Hall. But for fantasy, we love it all the same. 32.86 points for him. Jackson Dart, the aforementioned Dart, having a pretty solid day in his Superflex position, 19.42 points there. Over on Oki's side, he was battling the Bucs defense, putting up 28 points there. 2 interceptions, only allowing 3 points to the Saints. 5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles with recoveries on both of those, and was it a scoop and score? I think it was a pick 6. Might have been a pick 6, but they had a touchdown regardless. Should have had another touchdown that got called back on a terrible no-catch call by Antoine Winfield that the refs really robbed the Bucs thereof. So that they very well could have had a 30-plus point performance with out of a defense is insane. And bonkers.
Who needs a quarterback? Yeah, you got defense.
Yeah. Just 2 defenses. Run 2 defenses out there. Javonte Williams also contributing there, 17.9 points. Really the only Cowboy that produced with his 2 touchdowns. Only 41 yards on 13 carries. But, with those 2 touchdowns, 17.9 points, like I mentioned, was Oki's second highest score of the week. Because Rangers really made his money on Monday night with the pair of Chiefs that he had. Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes combining for about 50 points. I take that back. 46 points. My math was terrible. Not a math pod. Travis Kelce, 6 receptions on 8 targets for 99 yards and a touchdown. Patrick Mahomes, 25 for 34, 299 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Did throw the 2 picks, although one of them was probably directly because of Kelce, so I guess all works out in this situation here. He also carried the ball 4 times for 30 yards as well. Rangers did come away on top, continuing the monumental just growth from last place from 0-3 to now 5-3. He wins this one 173.94 to 100.22 for Oki, who did have Mariota and Debo and Ertz, a trio of commanders going on that Monday night game, but unfortunately all of them combining for less than 20 points. I lied. Combining for less than 25 points, those 3, so definitely a rough one there.
Yeah, absolutely. That Kelsey's really starting to show out for Rangers. I know that was he was an early underperformer for him. Obviously, there was the whole Jake Ferguson thing. Unfortunately, it has finally come back to bite him after all those weeks of yelling at Rangers, please start Jake Ferguson. He did it. It was good for a few weeks. 0 points this week. Of course, that would make him the cardio king for Rangers Cowboys. They're projected for 11 points and putting up 0. Look, it'll happen, but obviously that hurts a little bit, although less in a loss, certainly. Over on Oki's side, Khalil Shakir, who's been sort of a frequent a frequent flyer on the bench blunders list with 20.8 points left on the bench. Does hurt a little bit for him, but I have to say, nice showing for Rangers, obviously, who has completely turned his season around. And when we lead off the first matchup with, hey, this is a tough week for, Cowboys players, to still score 173 points for him is obviously pretty great, with that being his local team. So very nice showing from him. And yeah, just, when you lose 3 of the toughest matchups in a row that we've seen, winning the next 5 is probably the medicine you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And Rangers, probably in the best position right now out of all of us. Wouldn't have said that like 4 or 5 weeks ago. So that just goes to show you the parity that takes place in fantasy. One week, somebody's on top. The next week, it's somebody else. And that's fantasy.
That's fantasy. All right, Ace. It's time. Give it to me.
Yeah, it's time, ladies and gentlemen. The Pod Bowl. Yours truly, Ace, taking on Zang, my good partner and co-host. Both of us 3-4 coming into this matchup. And once again, similar to the last matchup, could not be different stories of 3-4. Myself starting 0-4, winning 3 straight. Zang starting 3-0, losing 4 straight. Very, very different trends, like I mentioned, coming into this Pod Bowl here. The first edition of this football dynasty Pod Bowl. So let's kick things off here. And really, this matchup was won on Thursday night because I had a quartet of Chargers players that absolutely pounded the Vikings in. Herbert leading the way with 26.28 points, 18 of 25 for 227, 3 touchdowns, did have the 1 pick, but made up for it with 62 yards rushing on 7 carries as well. McConkey, his number 1 wide receiver, really starting to come into his own here. Obviously, QJ kind of starting off the season, the clear wide receiver 1 just based off the numbers. And he didn't get a single target in this game. So that should kind of tell you the direction that they're going with this wide receiver group. We all knew it, and it was awesome for QJ to have that breakout to start the season. But we all know Ladd is this team's number 1, and he showed it this week. 6 receptions on 10 targets for 88 yards and a touchdown to give him a nice 20.8 points. Kamani Vidal, who is filling in nicely for the injured Amarion Hampton, has now had his second great game in the span of 3 weeks, carrying the ball, or toting the rock, I should say, 23 carries for 117 yards, a touchdown, added in 1 reception for 10 yards as well to give him 19.7 points. And Dicker the kicker, you know him, you love him, he's your favorite kicker. He had 14 points this week, 3 for 4 on his field goals, did miss 1, but 4 for 4 on his extra points, so a nice solid showing from him there. And that was pretty much it, because Sunday came around. Zang put up a little bit of a fight. Drake May, his MVP, putting up 27.28 points himself. He and it is warranted. Drake May is playing just absolutely out of his mind this year. Zang took a little bit of a risk taking him kind of early in this year's draft, and it has certainly paid off for him, to say the least. Maybe it's not reflecting so much in the win column yet, but it is reflecting in his play. He certainly looks like a top QB.
Those first 3 weeks were magical. Let me just tell you that.
Yeah, I'm sure they were. It'll happen. You'll get your win, buddy.
We'll get there. Yeah, it
couldn't come this week. Henry, also another Patriot, contributing as well on national title.
That's actually Derrick Henry there.
Oof, my mistake.
No. Which I would rather Derrick Henry, though, because after several tough weeks, and then, of course, the infamous situation last week, it is really nice to see him almost at 20 points again and performing like I think Derrick Henry should be performing.
Yes, absolutely agree. And kind of a shocking upset. I don't think a lot of people, with Lamar obviously out against the Bears, although the Bears were, 4 wins in a row coming in. They were a hot team, and obviously backup quarterback, but the Ravens, they handled business, and it certainly was a must-win game because dropping to 1-7, 1-6 basically your season's done. But you go any further than that, and that'll be all she wrote. The fat lady was humming in the Ravens locker room. She's a little bit calmer now, but she's still warming up those vocal cords. On Monday night, I didn't even finish up Sunday. The reason why it ended on Sunday was because in honor of National Tight Ends Day, Tucker Tucker Kraft decided that he wanted to have his best game of the season. 7 receptions on 9 targets for 143 yards. 2 touchdowns for 33.3 points. I also saw a stat that out of his 143 yards, 135 of them were yak. That just goes to show you how insane he is. And he is only, I think he's only like 24 or something like that, 25. He is really young. So yeah, insane day for him in honor of National Tight Ends Day. My super flex, Joe Flacco, also like I mentioned, Old Man Joe, he is having a bit of a resurgence with these 2 wide receivers here on the Bengals. He had a nice day as well, 24.32 points. 21 for 34, 223 passing, 2 touchdowns, and he did have 2 carries for 14 yards and a touchdown as well. So a 3 touchdown day there for Mr. Flacco. Spoiled it a little bit, apologies, but kind of got excited about myself. 174.6 to 115.36. This one, unfortunately, Zang, was not very close.
No, it was not. And I felt exactly the same as you do, that Thursday night, it was pretty much over. I looked at that score at around halftime, I think, I was like, all right, a bit of a slow day, okay. Like, it's got a lot of guys going, we might be good. I looked at the end of the game and said, all right, pack it up, we're done. And it was pretty much over at that point, because I think you scored about 150, but no, not really. But yeah, just a tough matchup for me. Now at 3-5, and losing the first semi-annual Pod Bowl. No bench blunders on this one on either side, really. A tough week for Baker Mayfield, though. He has been really consistent for me. Kind of when I drafted him in May, the thought was, okay, we've got May, kind of the high upside, but look, it's only his second season. We don't fully know who he is yet, but Baker Mayfield's Mr. Consistent. And not only has he been consistent, he's actually been very good. And just 4.8 was not the difference maker in this matchup, but it was certainly not good enough. Yeah, he was projected at 19 points. Just 152 passing yards. Or pardon me, did he have, let's see, I may have misread this spreadsheet there. Did he have 15 points?
No, I'm so sorry. I don't know what that 15.42 is.
No, that's all good. Okay, I was thinking.
I think I was typing his passing yards, and I just forgot to delete.
He had 15 for 42, I believe, was his completion rate. It was 15 for 24. Pardon me, was his completion rate.
That's what it was.
Yeah, not very good. Just 4.8 points, obviously, and when you project it at 19, again, when this is a guy who's been rocking comfortably at 20, 25 most of the time, really disappointing there. I did, though, of course, in my low-scoring week, lose to the highest scorer of the week. Ace, by just under a full point, was our highest scorer of the week as he continues his climb up the leaderboards. It's nice to know that a better Baker performance would not have really made that much of a difference in the end. So congratulations on your first Pod Bowl win, my friend, and hopefully this time next year my team will be a little bit better, and I might be able to win one then.
Hey, the season is still young. I know it's been a rough 5 weeks for you, but that's the beauty of getting off to such a hot start, is even when you do fall into this little bit of a pit, you're not totally dead yet, obviously.
All over.
It's not all over. Starting the season 0-5 is a lot different than starting the season 3-5 after losing your first 3 weeks is a lot different than starting 3-5 and winning your first 3 weeks. So you know Absolutely. You can do it. Got the players, just got to all pull it together. And obviously the Lamar injury has severely affected Henry McLaurin. I know he's been injured a little bit too. Finally able to come back yesterday, but some injuries there. I got faith in you. I got faith in you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That makes one of us.
Moving on over to our next matchup of the day, we do have Mike taking on JMC. Mike coming into this one. Oh, excuse me. I didn't put down the records for them. My apologies. Mike coming into this one, both of them actually coming into this one 4-3. I believe Mike was projected to win this one 121.48 to 116.44. Let's dive in a little bit here. On Thursday night, nobody had anybody that had big scoring nights, but Mike did have Rijkaard, I think is his last name, the kicker for the Vikings. It was a waiver pickup, just kind of a last-second kicker ad, only putting up 5 points there. And then moving over into Sunday is when the real action started here. For Mike, Michael Pittman having a really big day for the Colts. 8 catches on 9 targets for 95 yards and a touchdown to give him 23.5 points there. Chris Olave and CeeDee Lamb also contributing about 14 points each. CD with 7 catches on 10 targets for 74 yards. Chris Olave, 8 catches on 12 targets for 63 yards, 14 and 14.6 points respectively. Over on JMC's side, though, he certainly put up a fight on Sunday to start. Josh Allen leading the way as always, 23.22 points himself. Only 163 yards passing, but he did have those 2 rushing touchdowns, which severely inflated his points there. Did have a passing touchdown as well. Jalen Waddle also having a really big day. The Dolphins finally coming out and having a day where, they actually look like the Dolphins of old. 5 receptions on 6 targets for 99 yards and a touchdown. That's now 2 players that have been at just a yard below the 100 mark. So kind of unfortunate in that regard, but obviously still putting up big fantasy days. CJ Stroud also having a pretty big day. 22 points on 30 completions, 39 pass attempts, 318 yards passing, 2 passing touchdowns. Did have the 1 pick. Also toted the rock for 7 carries, 30 yards. So he had a pretty solid day as well. Stroud, Waddle, 2 guys that have been really lacking, not necessarily through any fault of their own. Well, Stroud maybe a little bit. But, it's good to see that those guys really bounced back for JMC here. And it was a very close matchup going into Monday night. But Rashee Rice, I should say, putting it away for JMC. He put up 25.5 points there, catching all 9 of his targets for 93 yards and a touchdown. He also carried the rock twice for 12 yards there. And unfortunately, Mike was not able to withstand the offensive onslaught that JMC put on. And JMC defying the projections and coming away with this one 140.64 to 100.22.
Absolutely. Yeah, JMC, I'm just going to plant my flag early. This is a team to watch. He's now got the QB room of Allen and Stroud, which is really, really, really good. Rashee Rice returning has been just an absolute helium balloon for his team. And gosh, I have to say, in fantasy in general, and maybe especially now in the 2 dynasty leagues we've played in, JMC has been very shrewd with his pickups, with his draft picks, with his trading. I think he is quietly one of the better people at doing this in our little community. So I am looking at and expecting a pretty big second half for JMC here, and I could see him going pretty far in this league here. No bench blunders in this matchup. Our cardio king was the Bengals defense, who were projected at 7.9 points. Now you say, Zang, how could they possibly have underperformed that much? They were only projected at 7.9 points. What could the problem be? Well, they tallied up -4 points. So Mike would have been better off just leaving them on the bench and having an empty defense spot there. So a little unfortunate, of course. Look, it's not matchup defining, but it's never a good feeling to have a minus player on your team there. So we thought we'd throw them out in the Cardio King segment there.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole team, the whole defense can be cardio kings this week, just for this specific matchup.
Group project, yeah.
Yeah. -4 points is that's brutal. Out of anybody, especially the defense. Moving on to our next matchup of the day, we have Sammy taking on Bose. Sammy coming into this matchup 4-3. Bose coming into this matchup 3-4. Sammy was projected to win coming into this 148 to 123, so a bit of a heavy favorite coming into this one. Bose did get the scoring kicked off on Thursday night with Jordan Addison, who had a pretty solid game, the only touchdown for the Vikings. Only caught 3 of his 4 targets for 26 yards and that touchdown for 11.6. The other one was a bit of a disappointment. Jordan Mason, the now backup running back for the Vikings, he only put up 1.6 points. Obviously, Aaron Jones reactivated this past week, I should say. So a lot of those carries went to him. However, the Vikings got down so early in this game that the run game was essentially non-existent. And, that's kind of how that played out there. This is when the fun started to begin, though. On Sunday, we have Saquon Barkley, finally having the breakout performance that Sammy has been waiting for, drafting him that high. He had 150 yards on the ground with a touchdown, including a 65-yard touchdown on his first touch of the game. So that really kind of kicked things off there. Obviously, I'm sure Sammy watched that and was just purely ecstatic. And he obviously continued to have a great day on top of that. He also hauled in 4 of his 5 targets for 24 yards and another touchdown to give him a nice 33.4 points there. Saquon, like we mentioned, having the breakout everybody's been waiting for. Bit of concern coming out of that game, though. He did suffer, I believe it was an ankle injury, or it was ankle or hamstring, suffer some kind of leg injury, which obviously for a running back is crucial. And so we're kind of monitoring him there, but he obviously gave a fantastic performance before going out, so I'm sure all his fantasy owners are extremely happy there. The second highest score of the week, a waiver pickup for Sammy. Have to mention it because I talked shit on him in weeks past. Tua Tagovailoa having his breakout game of the season. 20 for 26, 205 yards, and 4 touchdowns. By far his best game of the season. Well, I shouldn't say by far, but his best game of the season, no doubt. Yeah, he's already off the roster, so Sammy got his use out of him, and he's gone. Another quarterback who is also gone, but was another waiver pickup and gave Sammy a fantastic performance. Justin Fields, 21 of 32, 244 passing, a passing touchdown, a 2-point conversion, and he also had 11 carries for 31 yards and another 2-point conversion rushing for a grand total of 20.86 points there. This was just a huge win, not only off a huge matchup, not only of course for Sammy here, but for Justin Fields in general. After kind of getting shit talked from ownership, I really kind of like it that he stuck it to Woody's face and being like, yeah, here's your win. That's going to be I'm going to give you guys your only win of the season, and you're going to remember that. So I thought that was great for him. Great job from Justin Fields there.
So a rare strategy to go with the double quarterback streaming, but Sammy's in second place and I'm in 10th, so I don't really know if I should be talking shit here.
Bold strategy, Colin. Let's see if it pays off.
See if it pays off for him.
And the rest
looks like it did.
Bo's on the other side. He would combat the big performances put up by Sammy, however, because although Barkley put up 33.4, he wasn't even the highest scorer in this matchup. James Cook having another fantastic game, and easily his best game of the season. 33.6 points, 19 carries for 216 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Just an unbelievable day from both these running backs, Barkley and Cook. An insane matchup, to say the least. Jalen Hurts, of course, we talked about Barkley. The Eagles had a great day, and it was, of course, led by their quarterback, Jalen Hurts, 15 of 20. So not a whole lot of volume throwing the ball, but he was productive. 179 yards passing, 4 passing touchdowns, added on 22 carries, 4 carries for 22 yards as well, giving him a nice 25.36 points. And another QB as well, Aaron Rodgers. Had an okay day, 16.76 points out of a QB. You'd like to see typically a little bit more than that, but with the kind of QB shortage, I guess I should say, or good QB shortage, you'll take what you can get out of guys like that. 24 of 36 for 219 and 2 passing touchdowns, no turnovers, so definitely love to see that there. This matchup ultimately came down to Sunday Night Football. No guys playing on Monday night for either of these two teams here. And going into Sunday night, Sammy had Woody Marks and CMC. Bo's only had Nick Chubb. And unfortunately for Bo's, Marks and CMC did just enough to edge him over Bo. Or I totally messed that up. Unfortunately for Bo's, Woody Marks and CMC did put up just enough to edge Sammy over Bo's in this one here. Sammy did come away with the win, 146.66 to 137.22.
Bench players, pardon me, I lost my spot on which one we were on.
I was almost about to take over.
Sorry about that. No. I was scrolling. I was previewing ahead too much, and I wasn't thinking in the now. Maybe a little bit of advice for life. Stay in the now, kids. And no bench blunders in this matchup here between Sammy and Bose. Really, pretty nothing that would have affected the scoring too much, which is a bit surprising in a closer matchup like this with, just about 6 points separating them. Mason, over on, whose team was he on? On Bo's team was our cardio king for the week, projected at 11.15, put up just 1.6 there. Obviously that definitely makes up for, the difference in their scores. So that disappointing performance could definitely be, that hurts. That hurts. Nothing more to say. 9.4 points separating them. As I said, pardon me, my math was off there a little bit. And Bose was actually leading by about 5.5 points going into Sunday Night Football. So a bit of a come from behind win from Sammy here. And definitely interesting as we have, Sammy near the top of the league now and Bose near the bottom. It's looking like we had maybe a bit of an upset there. But water did find its level, and Sammy came back. Even though CMC had a bit of a disappointing day, it ended up being enough to kind of close things out there.
Yeah, I didn't even give their point totals. Woody Marks, 15.10, CMC, 9.8. Nick Chubb did provide 8.9 of his own, did try his best there, but unfortunately, Woody Marks just has taken over that starting back role in Houston, and that was really kind of a double-edged sword here for Bose. Losing to the running back that you're hoping doesn't do anything, so your running back can do stuff. Truly unfortunate there. Moving on to our last matchup of the day, or of the week, I should say, we have Al Martinet coming in versus KJ Lee. Al Martinet 4-3 entering this matchup. KJ Lee 3-4 entering this matchup, so very close as well, as all these matchups typically are, just given how close the standings are in the ranks. Getting the scoring, fumbled over my word there. Getting the scoring started on Thursday was Al Martinet, with Keenan Allen putting up 8.4 points, 4 of his 5 targets for 44 yards. Jay Jetta's putting up 14.4 points, catching 7 of his 11 targets for 74 yards. KJ Lee did have a waiver wire pickup of the QB, and it was he also had I believe it was the double waiver wire pickup QB strat this week. Carson Wentz gave him 8.76 points, only 15 of 27 for 144, a touchdown and a pick. That was, if anybody watched that game, man, crazy. Wentz was getting absolutely murdered out there. They trotted him back out there with like 6 minutes left to go, down 24 in the fourth quarter, and I'm like, why? Like what is the reason? Like you guys literally tried to legally kill this man on live TV. Like I watched it, and I was in disbelief of that. So unfortunate performance here, fantasy wise. They don't care about injuries, but Wentz, man, that was brutal to have to watch that. Getting into Sunday, Indiana Jones leading the way for Al Martinet with his 23.18 points. The Colts just continue to roll. 21 of 29 for 272 passing, 3 touchdowns. Daniel Jones has just completely turned it around this year. What more can you say? They are for real. The Colts are for real. For real. They are 7-1 now at this point. Any questions they have, those got answered. I know they played the Titans this past week, but and their real matchup will be against the Chiefs in about 2 weeks here. And I think that's really when, if they win that game, I think a lot of people will kind of anoint them now.
Believe it, yeah.
Yeah, they're contenders now. Zay Flowers also putting up a pretty solid day for Al, 14.10 points over there. He had a 1 carry for 8 yards and had 7 receptions for 63 yards. KJ Lee had DeAndre Swift and DK Metcalf as his highest scorers. DK was 16.5, catching 5 of his 7 targets for 55 yards and a touchdown. DeAndre Swift, did I say that? DeAndre Swift, yeah. I don't know if I might have said the different Swift. DeAndre Swift, 11 carries for 45 yards, a touchdown, and also hauled in both of his targets for 26 yards as well to give him 15.10. And then on Monday night, Al Martinet was down coming into this one with a trio of players in that Monday night game. Krosky Merritt, Harrison Butker, and Isaiah Pacheco. Surely this would prove to be a win. 3 players going down by about 10 points-ish. Surely you have a shot. And unfortunately, they were not enough. KJ holds on to the win. Bill Krosky-Merritt only 2.5 points there. Butker only gave him 4. Pacheco only gave him 5.8. So really unfortunate and a high-scoring affair for the Chiefs. It was just nobody for Al that could come through for him. KJ Lee wins this one 93-91.68.
Yeah, I said it last week. I'll say it again this week. The absolute worst position to be in is trailing going into Monday night with like 3 or 4 guys going, and you're like, surely this will be enough. It's never enough. It just never is enough. So that is unfortunate for Al Martinet. Obviously, I'm noticing a trend where Al Martinet, I feel like a bunch of weeks now, has been involved in the like lowest points in a win, whether he's getting the win or the loss. Like he's just been in a lot of those matchups. He's, winning his low scoring games and then losing some other ones, but the other guys are scoring pretty low. This was our lowest points in a win for the week. KJ with those 93 points that Ace mentioned. And also our narrowest victory, just 1.32 points separating the two of these guys. The Cardio King was actually a surprising, appearance from Bijan Robinson, projected for 22.89. Doesn't even seem that far-fetched. Bijan is obviously unbelievable, but just 5.8 on the day for him, was pretty tough to see. No real. Do you want to talk about the bench blunders a little bit? I'm curious here. Full disclosure, Ace made the spreadsheets this week, so he is. I see you have Harvey for 24.1.
Yes.
Yeah, talk about these a little bit.
So the reason why I noted this is because both these guys I wouldn't consider them bench blunders because both RJ Harvey and Isaiah Davis are backup running backs for their respective teams. Harvey on the Broncos, Davis on the Jets. And although Breece Hall had an amazing day, Isaiah Davis still had a great day as well. 17.9 for KJ. RJ Harvey having his breakout game of the season, 24.10 there for Al. And the reason why I mentioned it is because while these are obviously neither bench blunders, these both would have absolutely won the game for each respective opponent here.
Flip the matchup hard in either direction.
Yeah, exactly. So although, obviously neither of these guys made a mistake with who they're starting, they made the right starts. I just thought it was pretty funny that both these guys, KJ less because he ended up winning the match, but both these guys kind of got screwed by their backup running backs performing their guys. I'm pretty sure Isaiah Davis was even on KJ's taxi squad. I don't think RJ Harvey is on. Yeah, no, RJ Harvey is on Al's bench. Oh no, they're both on the bench. Sorry, they're both on the bench. So no taxi squad blunders there. But I just thought it was pretty funny that. That's fantasy.
Yeah, that's I mean, and that's the tough thing. It's you can do all the research, make all the right choices, and the guy you leave on the bench will still outscore your guy, and that's kind of just the way it is. But we will slide down now to the standing segment. Making his rise all the way to the top, Rangers Cowboys rising up one spot from last week at 5-3 is in first place, with Sammy Yanks moving down one spot from last week in second place. JMC staying right where he was in third place, comfortably there. Starting our group at 4-4, sitting at 500, we have Prius up 3 spots from last week in fourth place. KJ Lee up 3 spots from last week in fifth place. Ace up 6 spots from last week in sixth place. Finally, not our resident basement dweller anymore. Congratulations, my friend.
Yes,
happy
sir.
for you. Happy for you.
It.
Okie Sooner down 3 from last week in 7th place. Al Martinet and Mike also both down 3 spots each in 8th and 9th respectively. Starting our 3 and 5 crew is me, Zangarang, down 1 spot from last week. Bose down 1 from last week. Al is also 3 and 5 in 11th, and Anna Kendrick down 1 from last week is our new basement dweller in 12th place, also sitting at 3 and 5.
Yeah, so he's got some company. The basement is not alone.
It's not alone. Yeah, we're putting together a party down there.
Yeah, misery loves company, as we say. But as with all basement dwellers, come end of the season, there usually is just one. So we'll see who it'll be in about 6-7 weeks here.
We sure will.
Zang, why don't you tell us about the team of the week?
Yeah.
Perfect lineup.
Going to our team of the week. So the perfect lineup, of course, the guys who were started in lineup. So as I previewed earlier a little bit, not featuring Jordan Love.
Starters.
Pardon me.
Yep.
Yes, non-starters, exactly. Of course, leading us off is the, I think, consensus MVP, Drake May. No, I'm kidding. Drake May does lead us off as our quarterback. 27.28 points from him there. Obviously, a huge game for our boy over in New England. Jonathan Taylor at 37.4. Those two, obviously, battling it out in real NFL and for the top of the lead of the team of the week appearances here. James Cook at 33.6 was our second place running back. Troy Franklin and Rashee Rice were our wide receivers at 26 and 25 points, respectively. Of course, we mentioned him earlier, Tucker Kraft with that 33.3-point performance is obviously going to take our tight end spot. Saquon Barkley with 33.4 was the best player in, respectively to the flex spot here, putting together the lineup. I love these weeks when this happens. We didn't actually have a quarterback in our super flex spot. Breece Hall with 32.9 would have been the best for that superflex. Chris Boswell with 20 points, our best kicker for the week. And of course, that Bucs defense we mentioned with 28 points was the best defense for the week. That lineup would have totaled 298.28 points. Just to give a little perspective on, what sort of the best team would look like. So obviously nearing 300 there is pretty impressive.
I feel like we're going to crack that 300 mark.
Oh, we're going to get there sooner rather than later.
Definitely, yeah. So love to see that. Obviously, the highest performers of the week. One thing I am noticing that small change, but I will make it going weeks forward. I'm definitely going to start putting who each of these guys' team were on, just as a little kind of recap at the bottom. Obviously, we mentioned it during the matchup minute, but we will also kind of give you just one more roundabout when we mention the team of the week. So that'll be implemented in our future episodes. Moving on now to our wasted waivers of the week. A bit of a slow week on the wasted waiver wire. Our third wasted waiver of the week was a bit of an unexpected one. We talked about the Ravens starting backup QB Tyler Huntley. He put up 16.7 points there in the win over the Bears. So, like I said, not much of a wasted waiver because Lamar is, of course, back healthy this week. He's currently playing right now, so don't expect Huntley to be picked up in any leagues, or in any of our leagues, I should say, anytime soon. Next one is a little bit of an interesting option. It is a rookie, Roman Wilson, the wide receiver over on the Steelers, having his breakout game, tallying 4 receptions on 5 targets for 74 yards and a touchdown to give him 17.4 points. That one's a little bit of a more interesting option. This is Dynasty. He is a rookie, so he is definitely somebody that is able to be picked up and placed on your taxi squad. Costs you nothing against your active roster, so definitely an intriguing option there. I probably won't be surprised if he's already not picked up, or if he does get picked up in the weeks coming. Maybe it'd be a nice pairing there with Metcalf over in Pittsburgh. And our top wasted Our top wasted waiver of the week is a QB, and it is Mac Attack. Mac Jones with 19.02 points there. He was on a roster. I think he was on KJ's roster, and then he dropped him. Yeah, he was added by KJ, dropped a week later, added again by KJ, dropped after that as well. And he continued to just have another solid performance in the absence of Brock Purdy. 19.02 points there for him. 2 passing touchdowns, did throw the 1 pick, 19 of 32 for 193 yards, did also have 23 yards rushing. So not a great performance statistically wise, but for fantasy purposes, he got a pretty solid job done there, to say the least.
Forever and always, I will remember when Mac Jones was drafted by the Patriots and that video of him walking down the tunnel came out. And one of my favorite tweets I've ever seen is someone just quote tweeted it and said, "Mac Jones has birthing hips."
All right.
Go back and watch that video. You'll understand what they mean. Every time Mac Jones comes up, I think of that. Ace, we had a busy week in the transaction tracker. Do you want to tell us a little bit about some claims and some trades?
Yes, absolutely. So we're going to go through the claims first, kind of the less exciting things here. The Bills defense, a huge, the biggest kind of fight for a waiver claim this week, did go to Rangers, and what a pickup it was. 19 points there for the Bills defense. Nice pickup of the week there for Rangers, if there was such a thing. Rangers, obviously, I didn't include it in the matchup because he blew out Sammy, or was it Sammy? Who did he play?
He played
Oki. He played Oki. Sorry. So he blew out Oki. Sorry, Oki. And so that 19 points didn't really affect the matchup too much. But I did want to mention it because Oki was the guy who was also trying to claim him. He was second had Rangers not gotten him. Mike also there in third trying to claim him as well. We were kind of talking a little about this behind the scenes. Rangers kind of enjoying that last little bit of the waiver wire being on his side now that he is at the top of the league. That top waiver spot, I should say, is no longer his. But what a last claim to get in that Bills defense there. Another player that was kind of somewhat fought for on the waiver wire this week, Evan Ingram, picked up this week by Mike. Another pickup was put in by another claim was put in by Prius, but he did go to Mike here. Not anything to write home about in his performance, 7.6 points there, but still just thought it was interesting. Multiple people going after that Denver tight end. Another one as well, wanted to mention this one, Bose picking up Aaron Rodgers, mentioning that just because he did have a pretty solid day for him, like I mentioned, the 16.76 points, and that was an insanely close matchup there. Would have been probably a pickup of the week had Bose come away with the win, but unfortunately that one was not enough there in that tightly contested matchup there. Another big one, like we mentioned, a couple of defenses getting picked up the waiver wire this week for big games. Oki picked up the Bucks defense in turn of not getting the Bills defense, and it ended up being a better claim for him because the Bucks popped off for 28 points.
Looks like it worked out.
It worked out, and it also didn't. Also, he did lose the match. Rangers have, again, he's on an unbelievable tear right now. And of course the boost from the Bills defense as well, but kind of unfortunate. Usually in that case where the teams playing each other pick up waiver defenses, and if one pops up for almost 30 points, usually that's enough to win you a matchup. But unfortunately, Oki not getting enough from the rest of his team there. All right, we got rid of all the boring shit. Now it's time for the fun stuff. We're getting into our trades, and for the first trade of the week, we have Al Martinet sending over Jaylen Warren, the Pittsburgh running back, to KJ Lee for Denver wide receiver Courtland Sutton. This one, I kind of a bit of a position needs on either side here. Al Martinet obviously looking for a wide receiver, KJ looking for a running back. Jaylen Warren has been a pretty productive running back, all things considered, with the Steelers. He is the 24th currently overall ranked running back in the league, in our league, given our settings right now. Mm-hmm. So he's been having a pretty solid season. I expect him to contribute to Al Martinet's team. I think, let me run a quick check over here. Let's go over to Al Martinet. So looking over on Al Martinet, he has Isaiah Pacheco. He also has Bill Krosky-Merritt, R.J. Harvey, and he also has Kenneth Gainwell, the backup running back to the Steelers. So getting a little bit of insurance there for not insurance for Gainwell. Already had the insurance, so not getting the big piece there in that running back offense. I like that move for Al Martinet. Running backs are tough to come by, and at the beginning of the year, you'd look like and you'd think, oh, he's got some pretty solid running backs there, but like Bill Krosky-Merritt has kind of fallen off. R.J. Harvey did have a bounce, a breakout game last week, but you don't know how reliable he can be being the backup there. And speaking of the Broncos, Courtland Sutton, of course, the big piece in this, going back to Al Martinet. Courtland Sutton is 30 years old, so a little bit on the older side there, but he is currently the 11th ranked wide receiver in this league. So he's been having some pretty solid performances there. Only really 2 bad weeks. Besides that, he has been over double-digit points every other week, so that's a pretty solid trade there as well for KJ Lee. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, solid trade, I think, for both sides. This isn't really one that jumps out to me as, oh boy, we really have one winner or another here. It's a couple guys like filling needs. And look, you love to get a running back. That is obviously good. We talk about the depth of wide receivers versus running backs, but Courtland Sutton's been really fantastic, and I think that's a great pickup for Al Martinet, who's clearly trying to boost things up a little bit this season and advance a bit forward. And Courtland Sutton is a great way to do that for the time being. So nobody jumps out as a winner or loser here for me. Just kind of a solid trade for both sides, which you love to see.
Yeah, both teams are also 4-4. So typically, when you have two teams that are really still in the mix for, and really everybody is still in the mix. The highest, the top player in our league is 5-3. The bottom is 3-5. So only 2 games separating first from last place. Everybody's still in it. So this is just, I feel like, a move. Al Martinet making a little bit of a future play here, getting his starting running back for the foreseeable future, and then also having Gainwell there as the backup really just helps you in case Warren does go down to injury. You got the starter or the replacement starter ready to go already. Moving on to our next trade here, we have JMC sending over Carolina running back Rico Dowdle to KJ Lee. KJ Lee getting involved in another trade for a 2027 first-round pick. So we see, again, KJ Lee looking to try to bolster that running back room following the departure of Jaylen Warren. And these trades are in chronological order, by the way. So the order in which I'm reading them is the order in which they happened. So, of course, JMC supplying that running back. Rico Dowdle kind of was unexpected to be as big as he was. The Carolina Panthers, of course, not a great team, and they had just given Chuba Hubbard that big extension last season, so nobody really thought that he was going to do anything, and then Chuba goes down with an injury, and Dowdle has arguably the best back-to-back game stretch of a running back this season, not named Jonathan Taylor. And KJ, wants a little piece of that action. JMC able to cash in for a first-round pick, not this year, in 2026, or next year's draft, I should say, but not till 2027. So we won't see. This will be a trade we have to look back on a couple years from now
and talk about it. Yeah, solid move on both sides. That Dowdle running backs are so tough, kind of because of how there's really one guy on each team that gets the touches, and for a guy like Dowdle, obviously that can be a bit tough to come by, but like you said, he's had some really solid performances, and at some point, you just got to look at the numbers. And 2027, obviously not trading this upcoming first, but the next one is a high price to pay, but could be well worth it based on some of the numbers he's put up.
Yeah, and Rico Dowdle is a free agent following the end of this season, so this could be a nice piece in the sense that he signs with another team and becomes their starting running back, and in that case, that's a great.
You're looking at completely different.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think even then he'll still provide some value here because we kind of see it now that Chuba is back. Most of the carries are still kind of going towards Dowdle, and he's certainly been more productive since Chuba's been back. So would not be surprised to see him kind of maintain and keep that starting role there. Although, like we said, when it comes to the end of the season, Chuba's under contract. He's not. Very curious to see how that plays out.
Absolutely.
And now for the big one. This was the blockbuster trade of the week. Once again, involving JMC. He trades away Jackson Dart and a 2027 fourth round pick in exchange. This is where it gets crazy. In exchange for 2 first round picks, both in 27 and 28, a 27 second round pick, and Houston starting quarterback CJ Stroud. He trades with Rangers. My apologies. I, for some reason, didn't even write Rangers down here. Ugh, my mistake here. Some bad editing on my part there. Blame the host. But yeah, so Rangers picking up his second quarterback, his second, or I should say his first Texas quarterback. Doesn't have Dak on his team, surprisingly enough, but he will settle for discount Dak. No, I'm just kidding. He is not discount Dak, but I just thought it was funny because
didn't he send CJ, unless I'm wrong, over to JMC?
Holy shit! Yep,
is that right? Yeah.
He said, "Fuck the other Texas quarterback.
I only want Dak.
If it ain't Dak, I don't want him." So he will settle for the New York rookie here instead. JMC, of course, trading away his hometown kid there in Jackson Dart. But what a haul he got for it! 2 firsts, a second, and a starting caliber, very much so starting caliber quarterback in CJ Stroud. Stroud, although he's had a pretty rough start to the season, and the Texans as a whole really have, he really has picked it up kind of lately. He did just have his best game of the season against the Niners with that 22.72 points he put up. So potentially this could be the start of something great for JMC. You take a risk drafting a rookie quarterback in this, the entry draft, and you're able to flip him for 2 firsts, a second, and another starting quarterback. That probably would have gotten taken way before, and did get taken way before Dart did. So in my opinion here, obviously you can say this is a win now move for Rangers. He is going all in. The resurgence is real. He's buying in on it, trying to get a quarterback that is a little bit more consistent. Although with the injury to Cam Scadaboo, that could potentially be troublesome here, and JMC could potentially, if Stroud picks it back up, JMC could make off like a bandit in this trade. What do you think about this?
Yeah, this is a fascinating trade. This is one when I see it, I don't really... It doesn't strike me as one where in a couple years we could be like, like this is either going to be completely awful or absolute fleecing, and we don't really know which side that's for yet. Yep. Something I always try to keep in mind with first round picks in particular when they're traded is that is an asset beyond just being valuable to pick. Yes, JMC could absolutely make those 2 first-round picks and have that be really valuable. But, oh, by the way, JMC has 2 extra first-round picks to trade if he wants to. If he's feeling good and he wants to flip those 2 first-round picks for another valuable piece, that's something he can do. So always something I like to keep in mind, and it's a fascinating trade in the quarterbacks. Jackson Dart has obviously looked, electric early on, but we don't know a lot about him. The league doesn't know a lot about him. We know the league adjusts the quarterbacks more as they get, more tape on them and stuff. And CJ Stroud, who had
probably a perfect example.
Perfect example of that. After that first year, people were like, "He's a top 3 quarterback in the league. This is unbelievable." And then, bit of a tough ride for a bit. Yep. He seems to be kind of working his way out of that, and it's a really fascinating trade. If it was 1-for-1 there, it would be fascinating. Just introducing those other pieces there in terms of the first round picks and even a pretty solid second there in 2027. Really, really interesting trade, and I just can't wait to see what this looks like in a couple of years when those draft picks have either been made or traded, and we can kind of look at this and say, oh my gosh, and just kind of coming back to my earlier point about JMC, about him kind of being a shrewd trader and fantasy player. Most people I know would not trade their favorite team's rookie quarterback who has stepped into the spotlight and has looked like Jackson Dart did. JMC did do that, and frankly, I think made away really well in this trade. If I had to pick a winner right now, I would have to say it's JMC, and kind of having the guts to do that through trading away your young, exciting quarterback is a pretty bold move. So props to him. And on the other side, this could absolutely go out well in Rangers' favor, as we've clearly seen what Jackson Dart looks like. The year as he gets some more experience, obviously in the NFL, and maybe some more support in terms of his offensive weapons. We could be looking at a pretty serious player here. So it should be very interesting to see what things look like soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also a point to note on JMC's squad is he went with the 1 QB approach, taking Josh Allen, of course, with his first overall pick. I think that was the first overall pick in the whole.
It was, yes.
Yeah, he was the first overall pick in the league as well. So you obviously go big on the quarterback, and then you kind of shy away from it the rest of the draft. I think this is a nice trade for him, getting that second starting caliber quarterback that is worthy of starting in the Superflex spot. He does have Cam Ward on his taxi squad as well, recently picked up just this last week, I want to say as well. And adding him to that taxi squad, seeing if he could potentially develop into something good here. But yeah, I completely agree with you. If Dart, this one could hurt. JMC could potentially come away with the win in this trade and still be absolutely just shook by it if Jackson Dart turns out to be, the franchise and for sure thing, a player makes the Giants a player in the NFC, just because you're going to look at this as like, wow, I had my guy.
That was my guy, yeah.
And I got a haul for him, it was worth it. But man, like, there's just something different when you're able to root for your own team and root for them in fantasy as well. It just hits a little different when they play good. So we will definitely, this is absolutely a trade that we will revisit in the coming years, because we will see what these picks turn into, or if JMC flips these picks for another player at some point down the line. But yeah, definitely, this is definitely the most interesting trade of the week, and has the most implications for the rest of the league.
Big time.
Moving over to our next trade here, KJ Lee still getting involved, making a move for a running back, for two running backs. Now makes a move for a wide receiver, but he does send away one of his own. Bucks wide receiver Chris Godwin going over to Okie, as well a 26 this year's draft, a 3rd round pick. Okie sending back Carolina wide receiver Xavier Legette, and a 27 first round pick. So KJ recouping that first round pick in 27 that he loses, or that he sends over to JMC for Rico Dowdle, recoups it in this trade, but unfortunately does have to say goodbye to Chris Godwin and a 3rd round pick in this upcoming draft. What do you think about this one?
It's an interesting one. Not too much to stand out. I love the Chris Godwin pickup. I think that's a great one. Can't say I'm too locked in on Legette there, but it just always an interesting trade when a 1st round pick is moving. It's interesting to me that we're seeing a lot of 2027 picks moving around, where it does. I think there's sort of that. Oh well, I'll trade.
I'll get it back
the year after next pick, because it kind of hurts a little bit less, but year after next is going to come, guys. And I think it'll be really interesting to see what that draft looks like in particular. Having this kind of be the first year where a lot of those picks are moving, and I think, we could see some people drafting 2 or 3 times in that 1st round, or, 2 or 3 times in the 2nd round. And that'll be an interesting draft to keep an eye on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little bit different than Dynasty, or than Baseball Dynasty, because with Baseball Dynasty, those really are future. You don't feel bad about sending away too many minor leaguers.
Sure.
Unless their name is Mizorowski.
Yeah.
But typically,
just as an example,
it was the first name that popped in my head. It's a pretty easy name to remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, so with football, in baseball it's a little bit different. You're a little bit, you could afford to be a little bit more patient. With football, these rookies come in and they're starting right away. A lot of these guys are contributors day one, so these picks are a lot more valuable. There's only 4 of them. We only have the 4 rounds in each upcoming year to replace the 4 taxi squad options, of course. So yeah, I think all of these trades right now, it's hard to say how much of an impact they're going to have. But I think these, we obviously keep all these files. We're 100% going to have to be going back and looking at, because when these picks that have already been moved around get moved around even more, it's just going to be so interesting, because JMC sends a 2027 first round pick to KJ. Or, I'm sorry, flip that. KJ sends a 2027 first-round pick to JMC. If KJ is the worst team next year, that's a free first overall pick for JMC, who could potentially be the best team next year. And he's already 5-3. He's a top 3 team already. That could prove to be insane value there. So just incredibly interesting to see. I love seeing all these picks move around, because like you mentioned, a lot of people probably don't think they're worth anything. And then once the first draft comes around, I think people are going to be regretting not holding on to them a lot more. But moving on to our second to last trade of the week, Okie Sooners sending away Kareem Hunt, Chiefs running back, and a 26th 3rd round pick to Anna Kendrick for Bills wide receiver Khalil Shakir. We had mentioned Khalil Shakir was kind of a mainstay on the bench blunders. So Anna, not necessarily having room for him, decides to move him and get a running back and a pick this year in return. Now, this trade, at first glance, when I saw it, I thought, Okie made away like a bandit. Kareem Hunt's on the end of his career, a 3rd round pick to get a young, potentially wide receiver one in Khalil Shakir. Great trade. And it still is the case for him. However, Anna is getting a lot more value back with that third-round pick, and now that Isaiah Pacheco has a potential injury that could keep him sidelined for a couple weeks, Kareem Hunt being in there definitely provides kind of a safe floor at a running back. He did have 2 touchdowns this past week on Monday Night Football. Granted, it was against the Commanders, whose defense is a little bit shaky, so you could take that for what it's worth. But the fact that he will be the sole lead back for the time being until Pacheco comes back is some big value there for Anna.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right, moving on to our last trade of the week, we have Mike sending away Chiefs wide receiver Xavier Worthy to Sammy for Carolina's starting QB Bryce Young. So a rare kind of 1-for-1 trade and a super flex between a QB and a non-QB. Worthy, or both these guys, of course, very young. Worthy a little bit younger, the second-year player. Bryce in his fourth year?
Third year, right? I think.
Yeah, 2022 when he was drafted. Yeah, that sounds a bit better. So yeah, kind of a weird 1-for-1 trade here. But I think it's just a lot of guys kind of needing a new scenery. Obviously, Worthy started off the season, was expected to be a huge part of that Chiefs offense, and week 1 on literally like the third snap of the game gets hit by his own guy, a little bit of friendly fire there, and that knocks him out the next 2 weeks, which a little bit unfortunate because there were a couple of nice matchups there for the Chiefs. Philly's defense was a bit tougher at that time, has kind of regressed a bit since then, but the Giants defense has always been pretty bad, so missing him out on that week was a bit rough. But he did come back in a big way, putting up double-digit points in 4 out of his last 5 matchups. Again, I say that all by saying that the last defenses that the Chiefs have played have not been great, so take these numbers with a grain of salt. However, he is a young wide receiver 2 on that Chiefs squad that is now looking like the light show of old, just absolutely throwing piss missiles everywhere and scoring from all over the field. So yeah, I think this is I think in my opinion here, Sammy came away with a win just because Worthy, in my opinion, has a lot more upside with just given how young he is and with the team he's on. Bryce Young, man, I've said it once, I'll say it again. The short QBs, you just can't trust them. Kyler, Bryce Young, Tyler Shuck, Rattler even. And I'm missing one. Tua. God, how could I forget Tua? The short QBs, it's just really tough. They get injured a lot easier. And even, I feel like for them to really find success, everything around them has to be just working, in perfect unison. And that's certainly not happening over in Carolina. They have their moments and they have their times. And maybe Mike is able to get a couple of big performances out of Young here down the stretch. But personally, I just think in the long run, we look at this trade back maybe a couple years from now, I think Sammy does come away with the win here. Yeah,
I mean, you can't blame Mike for betting on a first overall talent. Like the Panthers did take him first overall, as you mentioned, in 2023. And boy, it's hard not to believe in that a little bit, but as you say, his sort of makeup has not led credence to the fact that he was deserving of that pick. And so a bit of a tough one. Definitely nice though for Mike to, pick up another QB, especially looking at, kind of ahead to next year, what that could potentially mean for him, having Young as potentially that third option all of a sudden looks a lot better than if he's, your second option or something like that. So definitely, could end up benefiting Mike a little bit down the road. Also too, if, Carolina is able to put together a little bit of a better team around him. He is not working with a lot right now.
No, he is not. And I preface that all by saying, it's not all just me being on the short QB. They have done him a huge disservice in Carolina.
It's a disaster.
Being the number 1 overall pick just 3 years ago, man, they have shaken that boy, and it's tough to see. Another kind of angle I was looking at this as well is if Mike, is somewhat kind of planning for the 3 QB expansion limit that comes with the next year's draft.
Right.
At that time, or at this moment, I don't think he had a second QB, right? Where's Mike? There he is. So he had Caleb, and now he has Bryce Young starting. No QBs on the taxi squad. So yeah, there you go. Mike might be just a sense of, Mike will have, his first, I believe he still owns his first round pick. So he could potentially take, next year's rookie QB, something like that.
Exactly.
For the future, seeing what happens there, but definitely interesting to say the least.
Yeah, kind of lending credence that, if he's your third QB, it's not so bad. You could take a bet on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
All right, Zang, I don't have any notes here. Do you have?
Yeah, let's talk it over. I sure do. Let's talk about next week's notes as we look at some matchups that may or may not already have started.
Yep.
Let's lead things off.
This week's matchups.
Yeah, this week's matchups. Hey, we're recording a little late. We'll start off with JMC versus KJ Lee. This is the 5-3 JMC taking on KJ. They are going up against one another. Ace Garcia is taking on Rangers Cowboys, our two, major resurgent folks in the last couple weeks. Ace sitting at 4-4 with Rangers at the top of the league at 5-3. Sammy Yanks at 5-3 is taking on Anna Kendrick at 3-5. Their matchup already featuring some sparks. We see an 18-15 score at 7 o'clock on Thursday night, so they've already got a lead there. Flaming Prius at 4-4 is taking on Bose at 3-5. Then we do have Zangarang, me facing Oki Sooner. I am at 3-5. Oki is at 4-4, soon to be 5-4 because I am in bye week hell. 4 of my regular starters are on bye weeks this week. So chalk it up, Aoki. Enjoy your win. Al Martinet versus Mike is our final matchup. Both teams sitting at 500, looking to make their way, out of the 500 mire and, climb their way up the leaderboards.
Absolutely. We'll give you guys the projections, obviously, in the recap show next week, because they have already been skewered, just with the game already starting, this Thursday night game that's already started. The only one that hasn't been affected, because these two teams don't have anybody playing in this week, is Flaming versus Bose. Flaming is projected to steamroll Bose at this current moment, 148.83 to 122.08, a 68% win chance there for Flaming. So Bose kind of similarly, but not as horribly in bye week hell with Jalen Hurts being out. So we will see. We'll analyze all of these matchups in our next week's show. Zang, any final thoughts?
No, just looking forward to it. Enjoy your week, everyone. Oki, enjoy your win. Have fun. And it's nice to see things warming up with the league a little bit. Where obviously there's been some discussion in the channel, of course, and lots of trades going down. I feel like the free agency and waiver wire has been a little more active as we're kind of settling into the league and everyone's getting their footing down. It's just nice to have that going, and looking forward to this for the rest of this year and a couple years to come.
Absolutely. And that's going to do it for us, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let us know how we do. Please give us your recommendations. We appreciate any and all feedback we can get. This, as we mentioned every week, this podcast is for you guys. So whatever you want to hear, let us know, and we will make it happen. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening, and we'll see you all next week.
When you come out in NFL lollygagging and, not going through the motions, that kind of happens.